Hello, everyone, and welcome to Asian American Mental Health Association's podcast. We are here to discuss experiences and tips on issues relevant to our community. My name is Maggie, your Vice President.
And I'm Samantha, your secretary. Today we will be talking about the struggles that many Asian American women face.
Regardless of whether you are a first generation, second generation, or third generation immigrant, you've probably struggled with balancing your ethnic identity. Based on an article by Lena Fong, Asian Americans have split into 4 ethnic identities. The first being the traditionalists. These type of people have low American values and higher Asian values. They value the Asian culture, obeying and respecting parents and the elderly. In addition, bringing honor to the family. The second type is the assimilationist, who has high American values and low Asian values. These type of people most likely were born and raised in the US in a predominantly white neighborhood. The Asian culture is less valued. The third is the pluralist, who has high American values and high Asian values. They integrate past experiences with present conditions, valuing both intergroup relations and are prideful with both ethnicities. The last type is the ambivalent, who has low American and low Asian values. They are isolated from their ethnic group and their host society, but do not care much for both cultures. Based on how I was raised, I think I'm more of a pluralist. My parents taught me how to embrace both cultures. What about you, Samantha?
So I would say that I'm more of a assimilationist. Growing up as like a third gen Korean American, my parents who were raised in America, they didn't really include much of Asian values into our family as much. Um, so like basically we would just only speak English in the house, and so that means I don't even know like any Korean at all. And honestly, it was kind of hard because like, a lot of like other Korean Americans I know, they all can speak Korean, pretty well.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel you. My parents, they came here when they were in college, so they grew up with that Asian background, and so they try to like force it upon us too. And it's not like I didn't like it or anything, but there are certain like expectations and rules that they set in place.
Mm-hmm.
So they spoke mainly Chinese to us, and Chinese, although like I do know it, I'm not like 100% fluent. So like seeing other Asian Americans, like a lot of people I feel like are in the same situation as us.
Yeah, like sometimes I feel really insecure about that. It's like maybe I'm not too Asian enough.
Yeah, that's a huge issue I feel like, because sometimes when like growing up, I feel like I wasn't Asian enough or I wasn't white enough. Like I kind of
Yeah,
struggled
same.
between these two like ethnic identities, and I didn't know how much of what I needed. Like I didn't know how to have like a good balance between the two.
Yeah, same. Like I definitely had a identity crisis like ever since I was young because I grew up in Germany actually, and
Oh wow.
yeah, and so like a lot of the like my friends were like European of, like especially German. They were all blonde hair, blue eyes. So I remember asking my mom like I want to be like them, kind of
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, but then like kind of growing up, meeting some other Asians, I always felt I was never Asian enough for them, but I was too Asian for my peers, at school and stuff.
Yeah. I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood. Most of my friends were Asian. I was like, my family was the only, I mean, most of my friends were white, and my family was the only Asian household in the area. But going to school,
Uh,
there were a couple of Asians, so I started becoming more attuned with like my culture. Um, being like being like a pluralist, I feel like I I do love both cultures, and I do like I try to assimilate to both,
mhm.
but it's hard finding that right balance. And I feel like now that I'm more grown up and I've met so many more people. There are more people who understand in the same position, and I just feel like I've definitely come a long way from
Yeah.
not knowing like why I was the only Asian kid to definitely like understanding more of where I stand between the two ethnicities.
Yeah. Like I think college really like helped out a lot,
Mhm.
like kind of like, you know, figuring out what exactly our identity is.
Struggling to balance between such different identities can cause someone to have an identity crisis, which is important to surround yourself with people who are similar to you.
Another issue that a lot of Asian Americans face is beauty standards. Beauty standards typically play a huge role in a woman's life. Women are supposed to be seen as feminine and have to have characteristics of being submissive in the eyes of Asian families. We also have to go through racial stereotypes that many women face, from non-Asians to how they are supposed to look. So some examples include slanted eyes, being flat-chested, and the petite structure. Like, I've always been told a lot of things from a lot of my Asian family members. I have to be more skinnier, and I actually have a lot of acne on my face, and they also mention a lot how I'm really short. So it usually kind of makes me insecure a lot about those parts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you. Like being Asian, obviously we have certain characteristics, right? Like we can't help it.
Exactly.
Like for instance, I have like smaller eyes than most people. I'm monolidded. I'm also flat chested, and a lot of like Asians have eczema, and it's not something like we can control. It's not like we chose this. My like a lot of my Asian like family members, my grandparents, they've told me also I need to be like skinnier or I need to eat more, something like that. And they're always like telling me I need to do certain things and be more feminine. I remember my grandmother, she used to like tell me a lot of stories and how in her past, like she had to act a certain way because it was more feminine and I should act like that too. But like being like growing up in America, we're taught to be more individualistic and to be like to just like be more ourselves, and so not it doesn't really like matter what the other people think, but like in Asian culture, it's you're supposed to like be more feminine and act like a certain way. Like that's why there's so much surgery, like plastic
Yes.
surgery,
Yeah.
especially like in Korea. So for like your eyes and your nose to look a certain way.
Yes, definitely. I've been told many times to like get some plastic surgery done, which like personally I'm not a huge fan of. Like I prefer not to do it on myself, you know.
Yeah. I have a friend, she got plastic surgery on her monolid eyes to make them double lidded. And she was really beautiful before, but like she became like I guess more beautiful after in her opinion, and like she was got so much more popular, and it just like astounds me how like just like we have like the need to be pretty has to be through like surgery and through these certain beauty standards.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, my mom, she even told me for my like 18th birthday if I wanted to get double eyelid surgery because I'm monolided, and I was like, no, thank you, I'm good. I want my monolids.
Every like Asian parent definitely mentions that. They're like, as a graduation gift, we'll give you plastic surgery.
Yeah.
But like, with these insecurities, like it kind of just leaves like this self-hatred to our bodies, and because it doesn't fit the whole Asian beauty standard.
Right.
Just like you, I also know people who did like some extreme procedures, like plastic surgery, and I know a lot of people also go on like dangerous diets as well, because they want to please society. They don't want to like just do it for themselves in order to improve themselves. They want to just say they want society like kind of get their approval. Yeah. So honestly, like I just feel we need to like learn how to like love ourselves more, just like be confident into like the body we're in,
Yeah.
like
I definitely have learned a lot over like growing up, and I've definitely embraced my body, my self-image a lot more. I used to hate how I looked. I used to hate my skin. I used to cry every night, like, why me? Like, why is my skin like this? But I've learned to embrace it. I've learned to love it. And it's just, we need to spread like body positivity. And I just feel like everyone should love who they are. And if you don't love that, then you just need to find like the right way to look at it, because you're not looking at it the correct way.
Exactly.
Women have always struggled to gain equality within the workforce, but Asian American women are a minority that struggle even further. Asians are currently seen as the quote-unquote model minority, where we work hard, have high levels of education, and have stable families. This some of it is true, but this expectation not only forces us to be seen in a certain way, but it can pressure us to feel less confident when these expectations are not met.
This model minority stereotype also masks the fact that many Asian Americans are at the bottom of the economic hierarchy. Usually, women in general are just not considered for higher positions due to the questioning of a woman's ability for the job. But for Asian American women, they have to face not only just sexism, but also racism. There's a term that was first introduced by Jane Hyun in a book she wrote, and the term is bamboo ceiling. It's various factors and barriers that prevent Asian Americans from receiving the like high position jobs. There was a study that was found from Catalyst, where female employees of Asian descent represent only 4.4% of manager and above levels among 500 Standard & Poor companies.
Even with these statistics, I know so many women who strive for success and are not being around just because they look a certain way. There's so many advocacy and support groups these days women have and will continue to gain more equality.
With all of these factors, they usually affect the mental health of many Asian American women. These are issues we typically stress about as it affects us every day.
Among females from all racial backgrounds between the ages of 65 and 84, Asian Americans have the highest suicide rate. US-born Asian American women had a higher lifetime rate of suicidal thoughts than that of the general US population.
In a time like this, like Asian American women just need support from other Asian American women. There was like some resources that we found. So one of them is the Asian American Women's Alliance. So the goal of that is to help bring the Asian American women community together. Another one that is really good is Subtle Asian Women. So it's a group on Facebook where women can just like post whatever they want, whether it's advice or they just want to hype other women up, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one I really like a lot. So it's called Asian Boss Girl. So it's a podcast that is made for the modern day Asian American woman. So these girls kind of give their own experiences and advice about some of the challenges they went through as being an Asian American woman.
Okay, everyone, thank you for listening to our podcast. Be on the lookout for the next one. Bye.
Bye.